Hey everyone, I am back with a new video, but before I get started with the illustration, I would like to make a quick announcement that this artwork is the October to November drawing for the YouTube Artist Collective, and it is currently up for auction on the Facebook page, so if you would like to bid or directly purchase this original drawing, you can head on over to the Facebook page, which is linked in the description box below. So with that said, let's get started. As I mentioned before, this is for the YouTube Artist Collective, and if you are not familiar with what it is, it's a group of artists, including myself, here on YouTube that have collaborated to create individual artworks based on one common theme. So for this particular month, there's Sakuem's, Bailey J, and Lemia Crescent. I will also link in the description box the video explaining the YouTube Artist Collective. So for the month of October and November, we asked you guys to vote for your favorite theme out of 5 choices. And the theme that won was Draw a Song. And I just want to thank everyone who participated on the voting. It was very overwhelming how many votes there were. We're all really happy to have a lot of you guys on board with this collective. So, thank you. Yeah, I was both excited and nervous for this theme. Excited because I love listening to song lyrics, and in the past, I've used music as inspiration, which I think everyone has done once or twice at least. However, I was nervous because obviously I'd want to do a good job interpreting a song, and also doing the artwork. But the fact that I put pressure on myself, it was kind of the one thing that held me back with this drawing. I even started thinking that maybe I chose the wrong song, or maybe I misunderstood the lyrics of the song, or my interpretation wouldn't make sense on the page. And there were just a lot of thoughts that got into my head during that time that I was sourcing inspiration and getting ideas for the drawing. I tend to overthink, and that's never really a good thing as far as I know anyway. I mean, from experience, when I overthink, it lowers my confidence and I start to question my ability. And the thing was, I started thinking about my song choice right after the theme won. But because I stressed myself out trying to come up with the perfect or the best idea, it was just too much, and I had to eventually distance myself. I tried not to think about it for weeks, which, in hindsight, gave me a good reason to focus all my attention on my studies, such as the final university assessments and my exams. In conclusion to that, starting a project early just doesn't work for me. However, it's not that I perform best under pressure or on a time crunch, but I do tend to lose all those other unnecessary and negative thoughts. And the focus gets directed on finishing the project on time and doing a decent job at it. Thankfully, I did manage to finish this illustration rather early, since it was days before today and the auction, but I was late for my personal schedule. I wanted to finish this early so that I could use the rest of my time for other things, obviously. So I guess going forward, I'll have to avoid starting too early on a project, because when you've got too much time, you start thinking that it's possible to come up with the best idea, because you've got time to think about things. You've got time to think whether an idea is good or bad, or if you could do better. But perhaps we shouldn't aim for the best idea, because coming up with the best could lead to overthinking, which can make you anxious about a project, and that's not a good way to approach a task that requires creativity, I guess. I don't know. That's kind of just what I think based on this experience and past experiences. Don't take my word for it. I'm not a professional who's conducted research on this matter, but I did read about this in an academic article, and my studio tutors put a lot of emphasis on how it's called a good idea and not a perfect or the best idea. Anyway, The drawing is finally coming together. I was waiting for it to be clear what the drawing was about before I could mention my song choice and how I used that as the concept or the basis of this drawing. For this particular theme, I chose the song Meet Me in the Woods by Lord Huron. I came across Lord Huron last year, but I haven't listened to their new 2015 album yet until this theme came up. Actually, one of their songs was in my list of potential song choices, along with other songs that were in my favorites list. But I decided to use a new song since when it comes to old songs that I love, the more I listen to them, I tend to associate them with a memory, a feeling, or an event that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the song or what it's about. And I didn't want to let nostalgia or sentimentality kind of affect my interpretation of the song. That's why I searched for a new song. This was obviously great because I then found out that Lord Huron released a new album this year, so it was an excuse for me to listen to new songs and try to find other songs that I could use for this theme. And if I didn't end up using them, then I found great songs that I could listen to anyway. When I first heard the song, there was already an image in my head of what I wanted my final artwork to look like. I've been using a lot of ink lately, mostly because of the brush pen I was using, and also because of Inktober, which happened at a rather convenient time. I also searched up other artworks by different artists that gave the same sort of vibe I wanted to achieve. And I ended up having so many ideas, it became hard to choose because I liked a lot of them. So I had to narrow it down. Obviously, I wanted to stick to the main essence of the song. Though I'm not saying that it is in fact the main essence of the song. This is my interpretation, and therefore this is what I think the main essence of the song is. I don't think I'll ever really know what the song is truly about unless I was the one who wrote it. So, for me, the song talked about growth in a sense that it changes you and the way you see the world once you lose that innocence. The woods, I guess, become the symbol of our experiences and events in life that shines light on the harsh reality. And one line in the song that I particularly liked was, "The truth is stranger than my own worst dreams." I did try to incorporate other parts of the song into the artwork, but that one stood out for me, which made me focus on the theme of losing innocence. And that reminded me of one of my favorite musicals, which is Into the Woods. When the Disney movie came out, I kind of went obsessed with the story and the songs and the characters. That musical could actually be the narrative version of this song, since one of the main themes of the story was people all venture out into the woods, not really knowing much or a little naive, and all these events happen in the woods, therefore they come back completely changed. There are actually a couple songs in the musical that explore this theme, and I could have potentially used them as well, but I was pretty sold on Meet Me in the Woods. However, one character that I drew inspiration from was actually Little Red Riding Hood, because her story really focuses on the loss of innocence, explored in the theme of sexual awakening. And I wanted to hint at that a bit in this drawing because the song does seem to have a sexual implication to it. I don't know, maybe that's just how I read it, but yeah. That's why I incorporated the red cloak, which also looks like a tree. I wanted it to be ambiguous since I couldn't decide whether it was just a red cape or if it was also the tree kind of wrapped around her, since the song has a line that says, "Now the darkness got a hold on me." So I had the cloak blend into the tree, but still separating the two items. Another thing that I tried to incorporate into this one was the illustration that Ben Schneider created for the song. It's really interesting because Ben is the front man of the band Lord Huron, and he is also a graphic illustrator. So if you check out their Instagram, they have these ink illustrations for each song in their new album. And when I found out about this, I knew that I needed to incorporate that imagery into my own interpretation to somehow pay homage to the artist and the song itself. It's cool because it's an interpretation of the song in an art form made by the people who actually wrote the song. Therefore, it shows what they really wanted to convey through the song and its lyrics. And so those things affected the composition of this drawing. That's why there's some sort of doorway to show the sense of entering or exiting a space. And that's why the trees create that frame and the branches create the arch. That's the idea behind it anyway. Whether these ideas translate well as an artwork, I have absolutely no idea. I do love how it came out, but I mean, it's inevitable for other people to see this differently. Anyway, the process of this is different from what I normally do, probably because I use watercolors, and I am not as confident with watercolors as I am with Copics, so it's safe to say that I was pretty nervous whether this illustration would turn out okay or not. I do like it, but there were some compromises with the drawing, like there always is, because sometimes what you imagined in your head just doesn't work. But in the end, I do like the choices that I made, and overall, I'm really happy with how this turned out. As for the materials that I used, they are all listed in the description box below. I did use a new material, which I haven't mentioned in a video yet, but I showed it in my Instagram. It's a liquid drawing ink and a teeny tiny brush. I absolutely love using these two. I think I even prefer these than a brush pen because with liquid ink, you can use water to create a nice wash or a watercolor effect. And that's what I did for the bottom of the page where darkness is supposed to take over as a song lyric suggests. So yeah, I definitely use this more in the future because I love it. And yeah, I think that's about it for the artwork. Before I end this video and the narration, I really hope you guys check out the auction that is happening now. It will run from November 27 to November 29. And once again, the link to the Facebook page where the auction is happening will be in the description box below, where you can see the auction post for each artist and their respective artwork. That is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and also if you wanted to listen to my song choice, I've linked their video in the description box as well. If you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos. You can also check me out on my other social media accounts. I've got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr. I've also got fine art prints of this up for sale on my Society 6 shop. Everything I mentioned will be linked in the description box below once again. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.